Joining us now from Houston to talk about stopping the spill and what's being dubbed the nuclear option is Nicholas Pazzi, chairman of WOW Energy Solutions. First of all, is this science fiction, or is this something that serious people are really considering?
I would definitely not consider using a nuclear bomb. However, a bomb would be a really good idea to collapse it upon itself. But then, of course, that well will never be accessible. But I think that's probably the only way. The problem I think I have is that the pressure from colleagues that I've talked to is probably so great that it'll just fracture the earth and basically come up off that riser. So that riser definitely needs to be blocked, as well as the casing, as any way we can. And one of the first questions I asked was, do they make smart bombs that small that could go down that thing and basically blow it in the center? But there's so much pressure coming out. I've heard numbers as much as 72 million pounds per square inch. Which is unheard of.
I don't know if you saw it there, just we put up on the screen. Apparently, and I don't know if this information is accurate or not, the Soviet Union or Russia, depending upon when it happened, 5 times has successfully used small nukes to plug leaks. Now, this was, I got to confess, this was news to me when I read it in the newspapers today, or read that it had happened. The number 5 is new as of today, as far as I know. So is the physics of this that the nuke will generate so much heat that it effectively seals with a molten layer of some sort the well? And if that is the theory, how does a non-nuclear bomb succeed in doing this?
Well, I think it'd be very difficult, because not knowing the parameters of the Russian leaks and what the pressure, the estimated pressure was coming out of the well, I don't think you could force anything down the throat of it because of the fact that we're looking at a severely high pressure, that pressure is so great that it has penetrated the walls of the casing and is leaking through the Earth's crust and is fracturing. So I think there's more leaks out there that we don't even know about yet. And I'm sure we'll find them, unfortunately, sooner. I would rather see it sooner than later.
Well, I think that raises the very next question, which is the so-called success in cutting through the riser so far today, which will lead to its being capped. If there are multiple leaks and we do what we call, I guess what they're calling the cut and cap technique here, how much of the leakage will be stopped when they put a dome over the current riser?
Well, I believe a dome is a really good idea, as well as the, if you want to call it the swedge fitting. It will be definitely difficult to do. It's never been done that depth. But there's a way to actually take all the volume that's coming out of that well using something very similar to an umbrella. And you could place an umbrella that is not supported by the earth, and it'll probably capture about 90% of what's coming out of there. And that's a first start. And you could just suck it right up to the top. It'll actually come up by itself. I mean, you don't want to use dispersants, you don't want to use anything. Just let it come up by itself. You can augment it by actually using a pump, a vortex pump, which will put air underneath it, which will basically give it momentum, because there's no delta P. The pump would be on top of a barge. So that's another way to do it as well. And then, of course, that could be put into tankers, cleaned and salvaged as well, which we call the suck and salvage method, which is used successfully in Russia, off Africa, and many, many other places.
Well, Nick, thank you for your wisdom on this. We're going to have you back sometime, because you have to explain to me what a delta P is. You just used a phrase. It means nothing to me, and maybe it does to everybody else, but we'll come back and discuss that some other day. Thank you so much for joining us. Coming up here on the Dylan Ratigan Show.